This is the Willis Twin Tower Show, right here on the Ballroom Network. We're here to rock and bring you the dirt. Tim and Jeff debating on the screen with the Podfather, although behind the scenes they say the Irish bring luck. All we know is the Packers suck. It's Friday night. Are you ready for the show? Talking about the Bears, Irish music. This thing's about to blow. You've been waiting for this night all week. It's time for the Twins to speak. So sit down in that chair. Let's give it up for the Bears.
Feels like game day, doesn't it?
Teams are all gritty, all hail the Windy City. The Twins aren't playing, it's time to go Super Saiyan. It's Friday night. Are you ready for the show? Talking about the Bears, Irish music. This thing's about to blow.
What's up, Bears fans? Welcome back to another edition of the Willis Twin Towers podcast. We got a big game this week, guys. The rematch from last year's Hail Mary or Fail Mary, if that's what you want to call it. So, big show tonight playing for you guys. As you can see, I got a little bit of a different setup here. I just got back into Indiana. I don't know if you guys were here last week. Heard me mention that I moved back to my old stomping ground. So I just got in late last night. I've been doing a lot of work today trying to get settled in. So haven't had a chance to get my computer out and get it all set up yet. But I didn't want to miss the show here tonight. So I wanted to make sure to get in somehow or another. You guys are going to get me on my phone, unfortunately. But it is what it is. At least you have me somewhat. I don't know if that's what you wanted or not, but you get me anyway. So like I said, big show tonight, guys. We'll talk a little bit about the game coming up this week. And I do want to talk about a little bit of last year's game and kind of the aftermath of that and the way it kind of derailed the season and all that. So as always, guys, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It allows us to bring you guys all the great content we do each week. If you're not already following us on X or Twitter, you can see us all at _Jeff Willis is my handle. You can find my partner here, Tim, at TimWillis24, and our executive producer, Aldo Gandia, is at Barroom Network. So without further ado, let's get into it here. Let's jump into the game a little bit and what we're expecting to see here this coming weekend. What do you think, Tim, right off the bat? What is your first thoughts before we get into this game? What are your immediate I guess not reactions, but what are your immediate thoughts going into this, especially considering what happened last year with that Hail Mary and the way that the game ended and derailed the entire season? Do you have a certain player or talking point or anything in general that you're going to have your eyes on in particular?
I've got so many thoughts that come to mind. First things first, it's going to be very, very refreshing, and should be a great addition for our roster to have Kyler Gordon and TJ Edwards back this game. That's going to be huge for the run defense, for pass defense, which the pass defense has actually held up pretty well, but Kyler Gordon is just another animal. There's a reason he was paid. He's one of the top nickel corners in the NFL. So that's going to be a huge addition. TJ Edwards being back is going to be a huge addition for our linebacker core. The way he's able to diagnose and the way he tackles. We've had a lot of missed tackles this year, and TJ Edwards will help clean that up. Another huge storyline for me is this is like going to be a huge revenge game for Caleb, I hope, and the Bears in general. But Caleb, I feel like, he came to this game last year. I felt like the pressure was on. The lights were a little too big. He was back in his hometown, playing in front of his home crowd, and I felt like the moment was just a little too big for him. This year, I feel like this guy is going to be calm, composed, and he is going to go out there and just torch Washington. I just feel like he is going to come out there with just another mindset, just a totally different mindset this time out. He's going to play with confidence. He's been playing well so far this year. I think we're going to see a different player. This is his second year in the league. There's not a lot of rookie jitters. There shouldn't be any rookie jitters for that matter. I think J2K puts this perfectly. It's important to get the Commander fans to shut up, but it's also important just to get the narrative to shut up. Let's shut down the Commanders and make this let's shut this narrative up. Let's stop worrying about last year's game. If the Bears go out there and win this game, and they're able to win so convincingly, it is going to that game last year will not matter anymore. No one's going to care. That game will mean nothing anymore. So to me, I just feel like Caleb's going to have a really big game. And another storyline, obviously, Tyreek Stevenson. This was the game that kind of derailed his season and derailed the Bears season for that matter. I feel like he's going to come out there with something to prove. He's played really well the last 2 weeks. He has been lights out. Relentless Mikey here says, I won't be shocked if Tyreek walks away with 2 picks. I wouldn't be either. I'm not going to predict that, but I would not be surprised. I think he is on a mission right now, and this is the game that he's ready to prove that last year was a mistake, last year was a fluke, and it's not going to happen again. I just feel like, to me, there's not very many times in the regular season where you say this is a must-win game unless it's for like a playoff push or if you're on a losing streak. Neither of those things are true at the moment for Chicago, but I feel like this is absolutely a must-win because they've got to remove that sour taste in their mouth from last year, show that they are every bit as good of a team as Washington is, show the world that they are a playoff contender. Show the world that Caleb Williams is greater than Jaden Daniels. That's what I want to see. Because there's a reason that Caleb was drafted number 1 overall. He was the consensus number 1 player overall. Sure, there's some people, and I'm sure some teams that like Jaden Daniels more, but the consensus was Caleb. Let's shut down the narrative that we're facing right now, which is that Jaden Daniels is the better quarterback and that Caleb Williams is, behind him. He's trailing him. He's chasing Jaden. Let's put it the other way. Let's have Jaden chasing Caleb down. I still think that Caleb is the better talent, the better quarterback. I think Jaden Daniels had a better season last year, obviously. I also believe that he was put in a much better situation, and I'm not talking about necessarily players around him, but scheme-wise, they tailored that scheme to match almost identically what he did at LSU. So he didn't have to face a whole lot of new challenges last year. He didn't have to learn a whole lot of new things. He didn't have to look past his first read very often, almost never. So Caleb had the benefit of having everything thrown at him last year. And so far, the same thing this year. And he is really starting to pick it up and really starting to learn. And you can see it on the field that it's all starting to click. It's all starting to come together. So my hope and my belief, I truly believe this, the Bears are winning this game. They are. I have confidence that they're going to do it because I believe that they feel the same way I do, and that's that this is a must-win. We have to go out there and show everybody who we are. We have to show everybody that we can compete with and beat teams like Washington, who was in the NFC Championship game last year. We are that team now. We have our coach. We have players. We have a great staff around us. It's time to put up or shut up. And now is the time. What an opportunity, in my opinion. What an early season opportunity. I love that the NFL scheduled this game early. I love that they scheduled it after the bye. Give the Bears some time to plan for this game. I have a confidence about this. Greg talked a few weeks ago how he was adamant and believed truly, and there was no doubt in his mind that the Bears were going to beat Dallas, and they did. This is how I feel about this game against Washington. And I know Washington is a very good team. They're a tough team, and they're going to make it a game. I don't think the Bears are going to go out there and just completely shut Washington down and make them look bad. But I truly believe this is a game the Bears are going to win, and they must win. Jeff, I don't know if you agree with any of those points, but I think a lot of that is pretty common belief for most of us and pretty common in agreement that these are the storylines and the narratives that are going on right now.
Well, I mean, for the most part, I would agree with the things you're saying. I think you're really onto something with Caleb, and there's some other things I want to dig into with what you mentioned too. But like Caleb, for instance, he didn't have a good game last year. He played pretty poorly against Washington, and like you're saying, there is a narrative out there after last season that the Bears made the mistake drafting the quarterback they did, and There's a lot of people out there saying they should have taken Daniels, and Daniels is a better prospect. And hindsight's always 2020. You guys know how that shit is. I mean, there's always cases of, after the dust is already settled, there's always people who will come out and say, well, I always had this guy number one on my board and this guy number one on my board. And 99% of the time, those people are full of shit. So, I mean, it is what it is. He's a good player. And I'm sure that, like Tim said, there are some guys, there are some executives and some coaches and whatnot. There's a lot of people I'm sure that had him above Caleb. But I agree with Tim. The consensus was that Caleb was the guy. And it was that way for about 2 years. Everybody thought Caleb was going to go number one. So it wasn't a surprise to anybody. That's what happened. And if I had to venture to say, I would bet over 25 of the teams in the league, if they had the number one overall pick in the draft and they had to have a quarterback, that's probably the guy they would have taken too. My personal opinion. But again, that's kind of not here nor there. Where we're going with this now is we have to figure out if this kid is going to be the guy for the Bears. And like you said, Tim, it's looked pretty good to this point this year. He's improved a lot. He looks a lot better. They've had 2 weeks now to prepare for this football game. They had some injuries in Washington for a couple weeks that they were hurting them a little bit, but they came out and played well last week and won the game. They're still a good football team. This isn't going to be this isn't just going to be a game that the Bears can walk in and easily take away. They're going to have to fight for it. But I will say this. After losing the way they lost last year, I tend to agree with you, Tim. I don't think there's any way in hell they're not going to walk away from Washington without winning that football game. To me, it's like you have to come out there absolute guns a-blazing with just, for one, to me, the game plan. I would imagine that the coaches are coming into this game too, understanding the players want this. They've got that sour taste in their mouth, like you said, Tim. They're going to want to come out there and get this thing done and get that victory. So I'm sure they're going to come out, and they do this every week, where they're going to try to put the best game plan together to win the football game. But I just feel like there could be some extra little wrinkles maybe to kind of help spring this thing forward, like we saw the flea flicker in the Dallas game. Maybe Ben brings out a few of those wrinkles in his offense that he has in the past, some of those trick plays to kind of get things going, and also just because it may kind of help shift the direction of the game to where it builds that momentum. And Flex, I think you got a good point here. Throwing to get ahead and run it is just good enough to seal the win. That's how this team is built. We're not going to win in the slugfest. You're probably right about that. I don't feel like the way that the team is built right now that they do have the ability to run the football as well as some of the other teams in the league do. I just don't think they would be able to pound it like that regularly. And we've kind of talked about this in the past too, about like the current identity of the football team. And I'm not trying to get off track here, but we kind of have to see. We don't really know what it is yet, but I do think they're kind of leaning towards that passing mentality where they are going to run the offense through Caleb's arm. So I do tend to agree with you. They probably will throw the ball early and often. They'll probably get the game. They'll probably get their offense rolling through the passing game. I think that's going to be a theme throughout the season, honestly, as I said before, because I don't think they have a run game to account for what they really want to do as far as what Ben Johnson has done in his past. So I do think that that's kind of the way it's going to lean. But again, they do have to pull this thing out. They have to find a way to get a win here. I think they're going to, like I said, they're going to have every single what's the word I'm looking for? Just they're going to be foaming at the mouth for this thing to do everything they can to win that game. And they're going to have, like I said, I would be shocked if they didn't play absolute balls to the wall in this football game. It would absolutely, totally shock me. Now, again, Washington's a good team. It's not like they're going to just go down without a fight. So it shouldn't be just an easy football game to come out there and win. But Bears are a good team too. If they come out and they're firing along and they're playing to the best of their ability, I would not be surprised to see them win relatively handily. Maybe not, a 3-score blowout or anything like that. But, like I said, they're pissed about last year. They should come out and play hard and play strong and play well. So we'll have to wait and see about all that. But, I agree. Like you were talking about before, the running game, I don't know if that's really going to be a big part of this. Stopping Washington's run offense is going to be a big deal. They've run the ball really well this year so far. So, and the Bears obviously have not stopped the run game very well defensively. So that's a key point we got to remember here too. Also, and I kind of am getting a little into I don't want to say a tangent, but I'm kind of
long-winded.
A bunch of different topics here. But, I guess the thing is like I said, that the main thing that I keep thinking about all week is just the revenge factor of this whole thing. Like they have to want this more than they've wanted some other wins. They talk about in sports all the time how like every game is the same, every opponent and every matchup you have to prepare the same way, and they all should mean the same thing. But let's face facts, guys. I mean, there are just certain games that they're going to come out play a little bit harder for. They're going to want a little bit more. And this game, I think, is going to be in that realm that they have to kind of want that a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to have my eyes on for the most part. So, I mean, what do you think, Tim? Is there anything you want to kind of, I guess, transition from that or transition to from that as far as, like I said, it's the general want to. They just got to want this one more. To me, I don't see a way they don't,
I also want to throw, I think that one X factor in this game that nobody is talking about right now is going to be DJ Moore. He has a track record of absolute dominance against Washington. And I'm telling you, he has been in the game plan this week for somebody they really want to target a lot. And like I told you guys last week, I feel like that was one of the things they were going to do during the bye week was really start to incorporate DJ in the offense more and work on doing that, because he has really been abysmal in this offense so far. He has not been somebody that's been targeted much. He's not been an integral part, and he is an integral part of this offense. So you have to get him his touches, because he is right now proven to be still the most dangerous player with the ball in his hands on this team. So I really feel like this is going to be a big game for DJ. I still think Rome's going to have his day. I think that's going to be the season for him. Is he's always going to have production in every game. Some games will be more than others, but I think this is a game that we're really going to see DJ, and he's going to showcase his abilities. Like I said, he has a track record of a lot of success against Washington in his career. So look no further than 2 years ago where he had that 3 touchdown game and over 200 yards receiving against Washington. So albeit that's Justin Fields as his quarterback, still he had a lot of success when he was in Carolina against Washington. So, and if I'm not mistaken, he had a good game against Washington last year. They just offensively didn't do much. So that's something I'm looking to see. I would not be surprised with that. To me, the biggest question mark right now is this run defense and the pass rush, which looks like we're going to have Austin Booker back this week as well. At least that's the hope. That will hopefully bring some help to the pass rush. Like I mentioned earlier, TJ Edwards and Kyler Gordon being back should be helpful for the run defense. But I also think that they're going to have to do the rotation differently. They've got to get Andrew Billings on the field more often than he's been so far, because this run game in Washington is, what is it, number 1 in the NFL right now? Like rushing offense, it's a very, very good rushing offense. Or what'd you say, number 2? I think you're on mute, maybe.
I think so. I think they are number 1.
Yeah, that's what I thought is number 1. So they're going to have their hands full, no question about it. This is one of those things where you're the 30th ranked rushing offense or rushing defense right now. I mean, this is going to be a tough task if you don't start shoring some stuff up. Thankfully, we have been on a bye this past week, so I'm sure they worked on that, trying to figure out ways to shore up that run defense a little bit. And I trust Dennis Allen. I mean, the guy has proven like this is what he does. He's a very, very, very good defensive coordinator. He's one of the top 5 in the NFL. So I'll be interested to see how that goes, but I still think our offense is going to be crisp this week, and it's going to be a very good game on the offense. And again, I think Caleb Williams is the X factor here. He's going to be the guy that just I really think he is ready for this moment. This is what he's been waiting for. The whole team, anybody that played in this game last year they have had this game circled on the calendar since the schedule release. So Oh, by the way, everybody mentioning Jeff's shirt, I have that exact same shirt, and he only has it because I had it first. So don't let him fool you. I had that shirt. I've had that shirt for like 7 years.
I bought this
Just
shirt
throwing it out
online. Thank you, King.
I
love
bought it in store.
One of my favorite ones. One of my favorite. It's a "Come as You Are."
Come as you are.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. I tend to agree with you, Tim. Just to kind of shift gears into this upcoming matchup, like I see a lot of you guys talking about the D line. Tim mentioned the run defense. Look, J2K also mentioned here about the money that's put into the defensive line, that $60 million. Look, I mean, if you're going to invest that kind of capital into it and you're not going to get the production out of it that, you expect to get, you're kind of wasting your money. So, I mean, and they haven't gotten really much of anything out of their D line so far. It's a good thing that Austin Booker's coming back. I mean, really, we don't know what we're going to get out of him yet either, though, because he hasn't done much in his NFL career to this point either. So, can he come in and be a rotational player that gives them something? I mean, that's the hope, but we don't know yet. And as far as the other two edge rushers, their main guys, with Montez and Dio Dangbo, they're not giving you much anything. So you got to get some more push up front. I think that's something that I'm sure they have been very diligent about in the last 2 weeks, trying to figure out what they can do to help out, get themselves more pressure. I think Kyler Gordon coming back is a big piece of that. He's the kind of guy who is a good blitzer. I think Dennis Allen will have it. I think he's going to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? More prone to use some blitzing, especially with Kyler Gordon back, TJ Edwards back, because maybe he feels a little bit better about the coverage on the back end now too, with sending that blitz more often. And also, like I said, Gordon himself is a good blitzer. So I would not be surprised to see him do that more. Ben Johnson was making a point early in the season or not early in the season, earlier this week, about Kyler Gordon and his ability to defend the run, and both defend the run and cover as well. So that's a big deal with a nickel guy. There's not a lot of guys who can play like that at that position. So having him back is a big piece of this defense. Obviously, he's a very, very, very good player. I think he's going to help out a lot on the back end, and he's going to help out a lot in run defense too. So I think having him back is going to be a big part of that as well. Maybe it does help the guys up front, having him there, because he's such a good tackler too. Getting that guy in space to make tackles, I don't have any qualms about him making that happen. So I don't know what that was about, guys. It was kind of weird. I think maybe my mom or my stepdad might have come in here because I'm at their house right now. But in any case, I think having him back is a big deal. Having TJ back too is big. I mean, it's another guy who's a very good tackler in space. Takes good angles to the football. He's a very productive tackler at that. He's had over 100 tackles 2 years in a row now with the Bears. So, and he just got extended for a reason over the offseason. So he's a guy that I can't wait to see get back in action. I do think the defense will play a little bit better, hopefully in the run defense department, because that has been just such a bad, ugly thing that's happened so far at this point in the season. It just hasn't been good. So I want to see that improve. Want to see the pass defense continue to play pretty well without having Jalen Johnson there. Because like you said, Tim, they've been pretty good, all things considered, in that department. They've been really good in ball production defensively. So continue that look. J2K says he'd love to go with more 4-3 over, with Booker as a strong side linebacker to stop the run, and Rush Daniels play man behind that with McLaurin out. That'd be a fun wrinkle. Well, I could see that being something they do. We know that Allen likes to mess around with his fronts. We've seen him deploy a 5-man front a few times this year. Something he likes to do, I guess. I mean, why not? I mean, it's something that it seems to be, the personnel is relatively fit for, more so on this team than maybe others. Because like I said, we don't really get a good push with our front four right now. Maybe he feels like he's got to put that fifth guy up there to make other teams think, well, is this guy going to come? Is he going to drop him out? What's he going to do with him? Because, we see him doing that a lot. He gets pretty exotic with his looks. You never really know what he's going to do. So, and it has confused other quarterbacks. Like Dak Prescott, for instance, was confused in that game against Dallas with some of the things he was doing. So I do expect him to do that with Jaden Daniels being a young quarterback. I mean, we have seen he's a guy who's had a lot of success to this point. He's got a very good offensive line in front of him. So again, they've got to find a way to get some pressure somehow or another. So they would have to, I would think they would have to find a way to put, to get more, I guess that's not really the wording I want to use. Allen's going to have to find a way to scheme more pressure somehow or another, whether it means blitzing more, whether it means throwing some wrinkles in with games and stunts. I don't know, but he's got to figure something out to get more push up front, because it just has been abysmal. It really has been. So, and a quick reminder, guys, as always, as we go throughout the show here, any questions you guys have for us, we'll be sure to answer them at the end of the show. So please throw them in the chat for us. Anything you guys want us to dig into, also, if we have time, we'll do our best to address it as well. So anything you guys want us to get into, please feel free to throw that in the chat for us. But we also have a few like clips and stuff of some things that were said in pressers earlier this week that we have for you guys that we'll get to. One of them that's kind of with some of the weapons they have in Washington and some of the difficulty they make as far as slowing them down. And obviously now they have Deebo Samuel, who they got from San Francisco earlier in the offseason. So he's a guy they've been using a lot. He's a good special teams player as well. So he's a guy that kind of you have to look out for all the time. He's a weapon. And with McLaurin being out, as J2K mentioned, I would expect Deebo to probably get a little bit more run, a little bit more action, potentially somebody who's maybe used a little bit more in a passing game. We know he can be effective as a runner as well. He's a guy you can get creative with. And also, I think another area that people don't really understand that he's also an effective player is the special teams aspect. He's been a good special teams player in his career. So we do have a clip here of Richard Hightower's press conference earlier this week talking about how effective he is on special teams. So Aldo, if you don't mind rolling that, let's show that clip.
We have a really good culture in the specialist room and with the special teams players. So they know that they can talk to me and I can talk to them, and we all trust each other and we know where we're coming from at all times. We know it. We always talk about, what are your intentions, right? And if people come from good intentions and have good intent, then everybody trusts each other. There's no agenda. It's none of that here. And Ben's done an awesome job fostering this culture where everybody trusts one another, everybody loves one another, everybody plays for one another, and nobody quits. Everybody plays to the final play around here, and it's exciting to be a part of. Now, are there things that we feel like we can get better at as a special teams unit? Yeah, it's been good. It hadn't been great. I don't feel like it's been great. I feel like it's been good, but I feel like there are plays that we've left out there that we looked over the bar, and I feel like we've had more impact plays up until this point in the past, and I want more impact plays because impact plays help win games, and we all want to win games.
We are the bearer of Bears News, the Ballroom Network.
Okay, as you can see, that was not quite the clip that I thought it was, but that's all right. That's still, it kind of brings up a good point too, because we have seen some struggles from the special teams. The coverage hasn't been great. So we obviously do need to see some improvement there. Going back to, and I don't want to backtrack too much. I hate to do this. And like I said, we had the wrong clip there. I didn't mean to do that, but I do kind of want to go back to the defensive line for a second, because as I said, we kind of expect to see more out of these guys. There's a lot of money invested in that front. And, that being said, I did mention that I expect to see DA do some more with the front, with the pressure anyways, trying to get some more pressure and do some different things to try to get that push up front. So we do have another clip of DA talking about Montez Sweat, for instance, and the impact he's having. So let's go ahead and roll that and see what you guys think about that also.
Montez has been pretty consistent in terms of the run game. Obviously, I think all of us, in terms of what we're doing in the passing game, we'd like to get a little bit more. And so I got to try to do a better job of putting him in position, to where we can, give him some opportunities to go get after the passer. And then when he does we create those opportunities, he has to take advantage of those by winning his one-on-ones. And so I think that's, I think it's a combination of, me as the play caller, putting him in those positions a little bit more, trying to create some more opportunities for him. And then when we do create those opportunities, him doing a good job of winning his one-on-one matchups.
I think that's a huge deal and a huge thing to point out as well. Like, yeah, we can do some things for him to scheme him up and get him more looks, better looks, but he's got to win his one-on-ones too. And that's a thing that I feel like we haven't seen enough of from Montez so far, at least this year. And really even the downturn of last year as well, he wasn't getting much. So yeah, when they first made the trade for him, he had 6 sacks in 6 games, I think it was. He was looking really good, and it was looking like a really good return on investment. But Flex, I mean, you're pretty much right that they've been basically invisible at this point. And yeah, Dennis Allen is right. He's been pretty good in the run game. He's been pretty consistent in the run game, but overall, the run defense hasn't been very good. So, does that really make a difference if he in particular himself was playing well against the run? Not if as a whole they're not playing well. So he does need, again, he's got to get more in the pass game from him. We've got to, this guy's a $20+ million player a year. He has to get more pass rush. That's the whole point of signing a guy like that, making a trade for a guy like that, is to get that from him, to get him to be a difference maker for your defensive line and for your defense. So getting more out of him is a big deal. I know there's a lot of you guys who have been pretty critical of Montez also for a lot of the same reasons, obviously, because we just haven't gotten a lot out of him. So to me, that looks like one of those moves where I'm not so sure I don't want to say it's too late now, but I really don't think they're ever going to get much out of the guy at this point in his career. I don't see it. They just haven't gotten enough yet. And you would think that if they were going to get something, they would have done it by now. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. So hopefully they'll find a way to get some better looks for him. But again, like I said before, he's got to win his one-on-ones too. So, and I agree with you, King. I protected him a little bit last year too, as far as let's give this guy a chance. They just got him, give him an opportunity to kind of get it together and play with this new staff as well. And he really hasn't made a difference here either. So with the new staff, and it's the same thing with Dio, like we all talked about early in the offseason, like this is a guy they signed who hadn't really done a lot in Indianapolis, and they signed him with the hope that they could get more out of him here. And I wasn't very optimistic about it. And so far it turns out to be the case. He hasn't really done much yet. So I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, guys. I hope they get it together. You're right, J2K. They need someone other three, Sweat, Dexter, and Booker. Someone's got to step up. I was kind of thinking it was going to be Dexter before the season started, but again, that's another guy. We haven't seen a ton out of him yet either. So these guys are not winning enough one-on-ones, number one. That's the biggest thing. And number two, they're just overall as a unit, they are not getting enough pressure up front. They're not working well enough together. So is there anything you want to add to that, Tim? Is there anything you want to switch gears to outside of that?
Possibly a little bit of an underrated thought here. This is a revenge game for Montez Sweat as well.
I think you're still muted unless I can't hear you.
I'm not muted. It's a revenge game for Montez Sweat, another return back to Washington. Like, I'm not sure what he did last year. I can't really remember his performance in that game, but I do know that the Bears held them to 4 field goals before the Hail Mary. So it's not like Washington was running up and down the field. I just feel like Montez really needs to step up, obviously, like everybody is saying here. But what is one common theme we've seen from the press conferences this year and the coaches? Whenever a player is mentioned by the media, the coaches have no issue calling that player out if they need. And what happens typically? What have we seen so far this year when a coach has called a player out? They've shown up on the field. So maybe this is an opportunity now. I don't even know if opportunity is the right word. This is Dennis Allen using this as motivation for Montez Sweat to go out here and light up his former team. Hopefully that's the case. I can't say that for sure. I can tell you, I know that Montez has mentioned it in the past that he was a little sour with Washington after they traded him away. He felt like he was kind of done dirty. So use that as fuel. let that be a fire. Make this the game that you take your jump this year and maybe have some more success, because when we traded for him at that point, he'd had 6 sacks with Washington, then they got another 6.5 with us, or 6 or whatever it was. I can't remember. But he had 12 sacks that season. He split the sacks in half, and he was a Pro Bowler. So he does need to step up. There's no question. Montez has to give us some more. The only thing that I will say in his defense so far to this point is I don't think Montez Sweat is ever or was ever meant to be a number one option on a defensive line as an edge rusher. I just don't think that's his game. He benefits from other guys around him having success as well. And, you know, I'm not saying that he's not necessarily a number one, because he could be, but they got to do better than Dio Dangbo on the other side of him, because it's just not enough to help Montez Sweat out, because I still feel like they're doubling him a lot, maybe not as much as they have in the past. And he's not, like we mentioned earlier, like Jeff said, that Dennis Allen mentioned, was he's not winning his one-on-ones, and he's got to start winning those one-on-ones. There's no question. So hopefully that addition of Austin Booker this week will help. But I also believe that, you know, the defensive tackles have to hold up as well, because the defensive tackles haven't gotten any push either. And as we've seen, the NFL has changed over the years, and push from the interior is what really makes a defensive line click. That's when those guys really start taking off, is when the interior of the defensive line gets pressure on the quarterback. It's a lot more difficult on the quarterback when that pressure is coming from the interior, especially with these athletic mobile quarterbacks. It's easier for them to get away when the rush is coming from the outside versus when the rush is coming right in their face. So, yes, Montez needs to win his one-on-ones, but also we've got to get more push from the interior. You know, you brought in Jervon Dexter to be your 3 technique, the engine that makes this defense run. He's not quite gotten to that level. He's a good player. He's a fine player. Don't get me wrong, but he is not the difference maker that they hope for and what we need him to be here. So it's just, they've got to do something on this line, and it's not just one person. It's collectively they've got to improve. But I think the number one focus needs to be on getting some pressure from the interior, because that's going to change everything. That's going to help the guys on the outside. You get pressure in the interior, they may evade you, but you're getting plowed by Montez or Austin Booker on the other side. So, again, find a way to generate some pressure from the interior, and I think that's going to really solve a lot of those problems we're having in the pass rush department. And maybe it will also help the run defense too. You know, it is what it is at this point. The past is the past. We got to move on and get it better. So, Aldo actually has a clip here from Dennis Allen speaking on the run defense. So we'll go ahead and play that for you guys.
The engine to this thing is the quarterback and the ability of the quarterback to run the football. And that makes you play 11 on 11 football. And so you can't just, isolate on the running back. You've got to be able to, it's like back in the old days of defending the triple option. You know, everybody's going to have a dive, quarterback, pitch responsibilities, and everybody's got to do their job, on each and every one of those plays. So that's the thing that really makes it, really challenging, is that, they can be running a play over here where they create numbers, and yet the quarterback has the ability to take the ball out the backside. And so that makes it, very difficult to block. I think their running backs run extremely well. I think they got great vision. I think they are able to find the seams in the defense. They get vertical within the defense, and they run really hard. So this is obviously a very good running team, and that'll be a big part of the game plan, I would assume.
I mean, like you said, I mean, big part of the game plan. When you have an offense that has both a dynamic running quarterback and running backs who can get the job done. That's going to be a focal point of your offense, you would imagine. Then your passing game works off of that. So, and J2K says it's supposed to rain all weekend, Monday in Washington. It could be sloppy. And if that's the case, you better expect to see a lot of running game, a lot of running football. So Bears better bring it too. They better be able to run the ball. I mean, like we talked about earlier, I expect them to run their offense through their passing game for the most part, but they got to be able to start running the football a little bit more effectively too. Find a way somehow or some way, whether it be getting their backs to find the creases a little bit better or maybe change up the blocking schemes, whatever. They got to do something, but they just have to be able to get that going. And really the issue hasn't so much been the blocking. It's just been the fact that the running backs have not run very well. At least that's what the numbers are telling us from the analytics services. So with our eyes, we can see it too, that the blocking hasn't been terrible. We just need to run a little bit better. We need to find a way to pick up some of those tough yards a little bit easier. We know DeAndre Sweat, that's not really part of his game, but I would like to see them find a way to get some more production there. King says he wants to see Monangai start a half. He feels he can get the running game going. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind to see Monangai get a little bit more action. Now, if he starts the game, like that's the argument I've been making for a while, is that to me, Monangai is more of the early down back, and DeAndre Swift is more your passing down back, more that guy you want in on third down. But the thing is you're paying DeAndre Swift a lot of money, so they're going to probably try to do everything they can to get this guy involved in early downs as well and try to get the most production out of him as possible. But the problem with that is it's like, how long are you willing to go down that road if you're not getting quite the production you need to get out of him? So again, that's one of those things where it's still kind of early in the year. We'll have to kind of see how things play out as the season goes along. We're getting kind of close to seeing what that identity is starting to look like, but we're getting to that point now where in the next few weeks, we're really going to see what we're going to have a really good idea what this team is going to be for the rest of the year. So we're getting kind of low on time here. So if we got any questions, let's go ahead and get some of those answered for you guys, because like Aldo said, we do have a special guest we're going to put on the screen for you guys here in a little bit at the end of the show. So whatever questions we have, let's go ahead and roll into some of these if we have them here. I really can't see anything. Tim, what do you got on your screen?
I don't have my starred comments on here tonight.
Well, we might not have much yet then. So no big deal. The one thing I'll mention is that as far as somebody was talking earlier about shutting Washington fans up and shutting the narrative up and all that. And I think that is a big deal. You really want these guys to want that for themselves too, to like want to come out and say, hey, this has been something that's been against us for a year now. We've had these other, like I said, the whole thing with Jaden being the guy over Caleb. There's a lot of people trying to shove that toothpaste back in a tube. You shut them up for good now. Get this thing done and shut them up for good. There is a question here from J2K, so let me go ahead and address this too. Would you trade DJ Moore for Jeff Simmons or Trey Hendrickson? It's a good question, J2K. I have a hard time answering that one because what DJ can be, what he's capable of being, the production you can get out of him is a very, very, very damn good football player. And you get, he can be a difference maker for your football team. Where this team is right now, with the issues that they have right now, having a guy like Jeffrey Simmons or Trey Hendrickson would be enormous for them. Would I trade him straight up for one of those guys? Maybe. The thing is the contracts what we have to consider here, because DJ just got his extension last year. Simmons, I think he got extended a couple years ago, and Hendrickson just got extended. So these are things you have to consider. Also, is the contract
Hendrickson's not extended. Hendrickson's on a 1-year deal.
Aspect of it. J2K, that's a tough question for me to answer, because I would love to have Jeffrey Simmons or Trey Hendrickson. And where the team is right now, do I think they could sacrifice a guy like DJ to get more help from one of those guys in the defensive line? Yeah, I think they could. I think it would be probably a good thing for them. But again, the contracts are the what's going to be the stopping point in something like that to me. So, I mean, what do you think, Tim? For player, I think that would be something I would absolutely consider. I just don't think the contracts make it feasible.
This one's tough. And I want to correct
I
you.
think
Trey Hendrickson did not sign an
unless it's me.
extension. It's you. Trey Hendrickson did not sign an extension. Trey Hendrickson is on a 1-year deal. I don't know. Straight up for Hendrickson, probably not, just because of the age and the contract is only 1 season. That would get DJ's money off the books, and you could make that work. But you'd only have Hendrickson for 1 season. Is it worth trading DJ Moore to get 1 season of Trey Hendrickson? Probably not.
Hendrickson just got extended.
He only got a 1-year deal, as far as the way I understand it. It's a 1-year prove-it deal.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't understand the deal as well as I thought I did. And sorry, by the way, guys, with my phone, I get cut in and out a little bit from this, so I apologize for that.
I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain he got a 1-year, like $30 million prove-it deal.
Probably right.
So the Jeffrey Simmons one, that one's a little more intriguing to me. Just because, number one, he's got a little more youth. He's 28 years old. He is on a contract, so you have him locked up for 3 more years. Well, this year plus 2 more years. Man, I'm good. Look at that. 1 year, $30 million. And just how important an interior pass rush is, and Jeffrey Simmons is a dog. So that's a little more enticing. I just think this is one of those scenarios where you make a move like that, it doesn't make enough of a difference on the defensive side of the ball, but then your offense really starts falling apart. And then you start seeing injuries happen. Guys go out, and then you're shorthanded at wide receiver. I mean, look at our cornerback room this year. We have one of the deepest cornerback rooms in football, and yet we're short 2 of our best, and Kyler Gordon's been out up to this point as well. So I don't know. That it's tough. It's tough. I don't know that you make that deal just because of all of the uncertainty with it. I agree that Jeffrey Simmons and Trey Hendrickson have the potential to make a huge difference on this defense. I just don't know if one player on that side of the ball is going to make enough of a difference on the defense to warrant what you would lose if you lose DJ Moore. Because yes, Rome is having an excellent season, but a lot of that too is that DJ gets a lot of attention. And so that does help Rome as well. And not that I want it to happen and I hope it doesn't happen, but what happens when he gets injured? And I agree that, we have Luther Burden, but he's a rookie. He's unproven as of now. There's a reason that he's not getting a lot of plays and he's not getting a lot of time on the field. He's not getting a ton of production yet. I just don't think he's ready yet. It's not that the coaches don't trust him. I just don't think he's ready for that. So, I agree with Bareback here. Built to the draft. That's the whole point. And, this is more, it's not making a trade is less of an indictment than not drafting anybody in the trenches. That's a huge indictment on Ryan Poles as of now. That's like everybody can talk about all of the bad trades and some of the bad draft picks. But at the end of the day, the biggest knock is that he's not addressed the most important positions in football, in my opinion. Next to the quarterback, the trenches are the most important position to draft. You have to have offensive and defensive lines to have success in the NFL. And really, you should have both of those positions shored up before you even take the quarterback. So, I don't know, guys. I'll say that I would not be upset if they were to pull one of those players in a trade for DJ Moore. I don't want to see DJ go. I really like DJ. But at the same time, I also won't be upset if they don't make one of those trades, because there is potential for it to go sideways if it does go down. There's no guarantees that it's going to put the Bears over the top and push them straight into the playoffs. Would it help? Absolutely, it would help. I mean, those are two of the best defensive players in football. I'm not sure. And I guess that's the way I look at it is I don't want to make that decision. I'll put it that way. So I will let the Bears make that decision. But again, I wouldn't be upset either way, I don't think. Let's see. Bareback asks, are we tired of Ryan Poles and his trades already? Yes and no. I don't want to say I'm tired of them, but I think that the trade deadline is not the time to make the deals to make a difference on your roster. The point of the trade deadline is to make a playoff push. And I don't think the Bears have been in a position for that for a few years now. So if at the deadline this year, we're right there in the hunt and we have the ability to pick up a player that will help put us over the top, whether that be a Jeffrey Simmons or Trey Hendrickson, then absolutely I'm in on it. So I don't want to say that I'm tired of his trades already necessarily, but I agree with you that I think that some of that, like the Chase Claypool thing, was foolish. They were really desperate for a wide receiver, and I don't think anybody is that desperate that they should trade a second-round pick for Chase Claypool. So I don't know if I agree with that. But go ahead, Jeff.
I wouldn't mind him not doing anything either. I mean, yeah, would you like to have a player like Simmons or Hendrickson? Sure, but I tend to agree. It's like, save the draft picks, keep your capital, use them for when, to build through the draft like the goal is to do. And, are you going to have some issues with your defensive line throughout the rest of the year? Probably. You're probably not going to fix that by making one trade for one player. So, I don't see that this is not a team that's going to compete for a Super Bowl this season anyway. So play hard, play your best, do the best you can with what you have right now. And then you do need to address it, though. It's something you got to start addressing. I've talked about this many times. They've never used a single first-round pick in this regime on a defensive player. That's unreal to me. Edge rushers, that is where you get them, is in the first round, especially early in the first round. And he's had multiple opportunities to take an edge rusher early in the first round, and he's refused to do so. So that's kind of where I stand with that. But again, that's something I want to see an area of change happen, is this team starting to address that area, using more draft capital, higher draft capital on premium positions like that. So moving along, there's a couple more questions in here. It's a good question, Twins. Who's the sleeper, or from Flex? Who's the sleeper pick to be a difference maker in this game? I'm going to say Austin Booker, because I think this is a guy that could come in. He's going to be rip-roaring and ready to go. He's been hurt all season. I think he wants to show that he can be a guy who makes a difference. So and like I said, they've needed some pass rush. They need to get a little bit something extra there somehow, some way. I think he's a guy who's going to come in and, like I said, guns a-blazing, and I would not be surprised to see him come in and have a sack in this game and make a difference. So, what do you think, Tim? Who's your sleeper pick?
I mentioned this earlier. I don't know if Flex was on the show when I mentioned it earlier, but I think DJ Moore is the sleeper in this game. I mentioned earlier that he has had a lot of success against Washington in his career. Look no further than 2 years ago when he went for 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards receiving. He just seems to turn it on against Washington. So that's kind of my sleeper, because we haven't seen much out of him this year. And I think this is the get right game for DJ. And I'm looking for him to have a big game and to really be the spark on the offense. So hopefully that's the case. But last question that I'm seeing so far, Relentless Mikey asks, with the D-line issues, do they keep do they keep a linebacker lower, or even Kyler spying Jaden? I think somebody had mentioned earlier in the show an interesting nugget, or a thought, which was to have Tremaine, TJ, and have Noah Sewell at the Sam. And that's interesting to me because, playing more of that traditional 4-3 with 3 linebackers and 3 backers and 2 DBs, 2 corners. And then you can put Kyler Gordon on the outside instead of playing him at slot, play him on the outside. That's interesting. I guess that's one of those situations where, depending on how the run game operates in this game against the Bears, if they're struggling against the run, that's something you maybe employ, is playing more of that traditional 4-3 and having a Sam out there, and then just having your two corners and letting Kyler play on the outside. That's an interesting thought to me, and I think that could very well be in the game plan, possibly, is to play more of that traditional 4-3 and less of that nickel.
That's a thought, but I would tend to think Kyler Gordon being back actually helps your ability to play more of that nickel defense in
Absolutely.
those rounds for stopping the runs. Because I think, I mean, if you have money outside, well, now it's going to take him a lot longer to get in to be able to have a chance to make a play, right? Whereas if you have him at the nickel spot on the inside there, well, now the run defense, he has a better opportunity to make a play on. So I think Mikey, I think you're kind of on to something here. Could they keep? I think they probably will spy Kyler. I think, or Jaden. I think you kind of have to spy Jaden, but I think Kyler is going to be absolutely. I think he's going to be an X factor in this game, because this is exactly the kind of team that you need a guy like Kyler Gordon to have a good game against, because he is so good against the run and he is so good in coverage that with a team who runs the ball as well as they do, you have to have him effective in this football game to give yourself a chance. And I think he absolutely will be. So it's a great time for him to be back, an absolutely perfect time for him to get back to this team. So I think we have one more question here. Yeah, here we go from D Starin. He wants to know how the Bears are going to beat them. They're 4.5-point underdogs. I think it's going to go back to what I said earlier. I think they're going to have to just freaking want it more. Last year, they got to be embarrassed about the way that game finished last year. You got to come out. You got to be prepared. You got to be ready to go, and you got to freaking want it. You got to want to win the damn football game more than they do, because they're going to want it too. This is a good. They're a good team. They've shown for 2 years now that they want to win, and they will win if you give them a chance. So I kind of agree with what somebody else was saying earlier. Put them away early. Don't give them a chance to fight and claw their way back. Put them away earlier. Give them hell. Fight your ass off. Play the best football you possibly can. The Bears have shown stretches this year so far where they played pretty good football at times. Put it together for a whole 60 minutes and beat their ass. Like I said, they just got to want it more this time. They got to want it more in this game after that humiliation they had last year. To me, that's the key. They just got to want it. What do you think, Tim?
I actually agree with you for the most part in that. I mean, I will say, the keys to the victory really are number one, they've got to play better against the run than what they've shown so far this year. They have to keep Jaden Daniels in the pocket. I think is really important for this game, is to try to keep him in the pocket. And we need to have a good run. I agree, Mikey, our run game has to play well, but I think the key to the big key to the victory is going to be Caleb Williams outshining Jaden Daniels. Let the quarterbacks decide the fate of this game. How many times do we hear about, at some point, the reason you win the game has to be because of the quarterback? Why can't this be one of those games? Why can't this be the game that we prove that we win the game because we have Caleb Williams, not because we failed in somewhere and we lost because of Caleb, or we lost because if we did this on defense, or we won because the defense saved us, or the special team saved us on a block kick. How about we won this game because of Caleb Williams and his clutch play? He brought us into this game. We won this game because of Caleb. That would be what I would want. And that's why I believe that Caleb Williams in this game is going to play a huge factor in this game on the positive level. I think he's going to have a great game. I really do. I truly, firmly believe he's going to go out there with confidence and win this game for us. I truly believe that. And I think that the Bears believe that. They know this is super important. So, guys, I'll be right back. Jeff, hold down the fort for a minute.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like I said, there's a couple of things you guys are talking about here: penalties, turnovers, things like that. There are things that they have to clean up. They're sloppy, and to me, that's part of what I was talking about earlier. You just got to want it more. It's that focus aspect. You got to come in ready to go, focused on the task at hand, ready. Just not the not making mistakes. To me is like, that's just mostly a focus thing. You just got to be focused on what you're supposed to be doing, and you shouldn't make too many mistakes. So Bareback says Caleb is the X factor, of course, but if we can't run the rock, good luck. I mean, we've struggled to run the ball for most of the season. So, I mean, that's the goal. You definitely want to be able to run it better, but I do think this offense is going to kind of go through Caleb's arm, and they can still win doing so. But I agree, you definitely want to get that running game going more. King says if they win, I hope the glaze dies down a little on Daniels. If Caleb threw 230 yards, a touchdown at 57%, the media would clown. I mean, you're pretty much right. It's just he gets a lot of hate for obvious reasons as far as like the person he is off the field, and that's generally not warranted, but it is what it is. It's just how people are, unfortunately. But I agree with you. If he comes out and plays good ball and Bears win the football game and he looks better than Jaden does, then you would hope that would kind of die down a little bit and he would be able to kind of shift that narrative some, turn it more towards himself and his success. And, I think, like I said, I think Caleb's a good player. I think he's starting to head that direction where he is starting to get some of that, maybe a little bit more of the respect that he deserves. It's not there yet, but hopefully in time he's going to get there. Here's our guest for you. So, Tim, why don't you go ahead and introduce your boy here? You're muted. Fix it. You're muted, Tim.
I am. Sorry, guys. So this is my son, my 13-year-old son, Maverick. He's almost 14. This is the one I've been telling you guys has been learning how to play guitar. So he's going to play some songs, a couple songs for you guys, let you guys hear some riffs. What are you going to start with?
Probably Understand, man.
All right, let's hear it. Okay, you guys are. It looks like you guys aren't hearing it real good. I'm gonna turn up the volume a little bit. I had his amp down pretty quietly. Hang on a second. You guys hear that pretty good? Let me know. Is that good? Is that better? Hang on, let's see. Yep, that's good. All right. What you got next, Matt?
Master Puppets.
Master of Puppets. Here we go.
Oh, Metallica.
What else you got? Turn it up a little bit more, man. How about just make it really easy? Let's play them Rock You Like a Hurricane. Oh, here you go. He knows this one. They're asking for Whom the Bell Tolls. Let's hear it.
Well, that's better.
Is that good? Did you guys hear that pretty well there at the end?
That was better, yeah.
Good, good. Hey, so
Well, let's do one more.
Get
out of here.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Turn it up just a little bit. Good job, man.
Thank you, Mavi.
Give your audience a bow, Maverick. So, like I said, guys, he's been playing for about 3 years now.
No, 5.
Okay, I guess it's 5. Dad's way off on that.
Started
But
in 2020, remember?
yeah, he's like you guys can hear, he's getting pretty good. He's starting to really learn. I saw, was it J2K that mentioned the birds on his frets? His guitar is actually a Paul Reed Stanley. If you guys
Paul
don't
Reed
know
Smith.
about that. I'm
Paul
sorry,
Reed
Paul Reed
Smith.
Smith. I don't know where I got Paul Stanley is the lead singer for Kiss. But yeah, that's actually our Jeff and I's Uncle Billy's guitar. When Maverick was starting to get really good, he's like, "Hey, I've got some guitars that he can borrow." Because my uncle, for some reason, decides he needs a bunch of guitars that are worth a ton of money, even though he can't play any guitar at all whatsoever. He still has them.
He's all right.
But anyway, yeah. So that's the birds. That's the calling card for the Paul Reed Smith series. So, but yeah, I'm a pretty proud dad.
Well, that's a good time to close out the show here. We thank you guys for being here as always. That was a nice little performance from Mav there. Now we got the audio situation figured out. Maybe we can have him on again in the future sometime, and it'll sound a little bit better early on. But we thank you guys for being here as always on a Friday night. Next week when I'm back, I'll have a better connection. I'll have my computer set up and everything, so it'll be a better look for me as well. A quick reminder, guys, as always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can find us here every Friday night. Like I said, we're on at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. You can follow us on X or Twitter. I'm at _Jeff Willis. Tim is at Tim Willis 24. And our executive producer, Aldo Gandia, is at Barroom Network. And like I said before, guys, many times, we have tons of great content all week here at the Barroom Network. So please join us throughout the week as we have our shows throughout the week. As I said, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So we'll see you guys next week. And until then, bear down.
Da Bears.
This is the journey that will never end. New and mightier foes will arise. New adventures will begin. Until then, we bid you farewell.
The Willis Twin Towers podcast is a Barroom production. Jeff and Tim Willis are the producers and co-hosts. Aldo Gandia is the director and executive producer. The opening theme music was produced by Tim Willis. Any copywritten material used was under the Fair Use Act for commentary, criticism, and news reporting. This show is also available in audio-only format and can be found wherever you download podcasts. Just search for Barroom Network.